All right, guys, welcome back. We're going to start new lessons online, so this will be the first one, and this is going to be 9-1 probability. There will be a quiz at the end of this. I'm only going to cover about half the lesson here in this video, and then I'll cover the other half in the next video. These will be about 5-minute videos, so I'm going to cruise through them pretty fast. I'm not going to read everything on the page. The skeleton for this lesson will be online, so you can access it at any time you want and go through and read what it says on there. The first thing that we're going to talk about is experiments. An experiment is built up with trials. And a trial is going to be flipping a coin, rolling a number cube, or guessing the number of jelly beans in a jar. There's only two ways to flip a coin, and those end up being what's known as our outcomes. So the first outcome we're going to run into is whether it's heads or tails, right? And those would be the two outcomes for flipping a coin. There are 6 outcomes for rolling a 6-sided number cube, and there are a bunch of different ways to pull jelly beans out of a jar, so they didn't write all those down. But if I had all the ways to flip a coin, that's what's known as our sample space. If I have all the ways to roll a number cube, that's known as the sample space. There's 6 numbers in the sample space. Those are all outcomes individually, but they all make up the sample space. And all the jelly beans in a jar would be your sample space. Once again, an experiment is built up of trials, how many you're going to do. They create what's known as outcomes, and all the outcomes make up the sample space. If we keep going, an event is going to be the probability that something happens. That something happening goes in the middle. So an event of getting an odd number would be all the odd numbers. It's going to be favorable over total. It's going to be all the odd numbers, 1, 5, and 3, divided by the total numbers in the sample space, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We would reduce that down to 1/2, put that in our handy dandy calculator, 1 divided by 2, hit go, and we find out the decimal equivalent is going to be 0.5. I want 0.5 as an answer. Now, you could write that as 50%. You got a 50-50 shot, but I don't really care for that. Care for the percentage. I want the decimal as an answer. So this is how probabilities work. There's not going to be any questions dramatically like that on this quiz, but that's where we're going, so you don't have to worry about that just now. We'll cover those in a little bit later. There are a couple of chances of things happening. If it's a 0% chance, this is what's known as impossible. 25% chance isn't really impossible, but it's not likely to happen. So we're going to call this improbable. 50% would be an even chance. You have a 50-50 chance of it happening. It's either going to happen or it's not. It's either or. And then 75% chance is likely to happen. So we're going to come up here and say that it's probable. 100% chance means it's guaranteed, and that's going to be certain. So these are all the probability chances. Again, this would be likely over here at 75%, and this would be unlikely at 25%. And those are all the names of what we would consider percentages to be. Some people would actually consider 25% a lot more likely than improbable. We're just going to use that vocabulary for this particular lesson.